Ahoy! Today we have a very interesting bit of information that came out during the day where HiRezStew was responding to someone regarding the state of Realm Royale and updates, and in the context of that actually happened to talk about a ton of, well, numbers, not directly, but statistics regarding HiRez current games, their performance against each other in terms of revenue, and I thought that would be a very interesting topic to address at least briefly. So we're going to have a look at the letter and we're going to have a little bit of a comparison as well. And we're going to do that right now. So the message here is in response to someone else who was complaining, and it starts as follows. While we plan to continue to operate the servers for Realm Royale for the foreseeable future, and we may do minor content or bug updates in the future, it's very unlikely that Realm Royale will receive any large major upgrades in the future. At the moment, HiRez is concentrating almost all of its resources on Smite, Paladins, and Rogue Company, each of which we continue to patch very consistently on an ongoing basis, and each of which we are able to maintain a large dedicated dev teams to in a sustainable, profitable manner inside of Titanforge, Evil Mojo, and First Watch. We love Realm Royale, but unfortunately, even in its best performance month, Realm was losing hundreds of thousands of dollars each month and could just not sustain ongoing development. Some parts are a little bit cut off here. So that part so far in itself obviously very unfortunate, not entirely surprising. If you've been paying attention to Realm Royale, it's been kind of slowing down a lot, let's put it like that. It's not really much happening there anymore, and they had some changes that people weren't that happy with anyway, so it was kind of just a matter of them saying it officially rather than, you know, assuming it's going to happen. But yeah, not really a big surprise, still very unfortunate because I thought that game had potential. We'll get to that a little bit. But what's very interesting is what's coming next. For a sense of scale on revenues, Smite earns nearly as much revenue every month that Realm did in 2018 and 2019 combined. That is a lot. That is absolutely crazy to me that Realm never picked up during that time, but that's what it is. Paladins earns about as much every month that Realm did in 2018. And Rogue Company has already earned more revenue in its first month of closed beta than Realm Royale has in its entire lifetime. These wordings are a bit weird, and I hope I understood them right, because two of them can kind of be interpreted in two different ways. But I tried to make a graph out of that, and if I'm understanding it right, unless they're saying here that Paladins earns as much every month on the same level as Realm, then I'm misunderstanding that part, because it says that Realm that in 2018. As far as I'm understanding this, and in looking in relation to Smite, I'm thinking this means that they earn as much per month as Realm Royale did in the entirety of 2018. And if I'm understanding it right for Rogue Company here, it means that they're earning as much, or they earned as much in their first months as Realm Royale has earned in its peak month in its lifetime, and not in its entire lifetime, like in terms of revenue. Like, I don't think that they're saying that Rogue Company is earning the same amount right now as Smite. If they meant to say that, it's very confusing. But I tried to make a quick graphic out of this just to put this in perspective. This could be wrong if I'm completely misunderstanding Stu here, and this could be that Paladins is actually just way lower and on the level of Realm, but then it wouldn't make sense to cancel Realm. And it could be that Rogue Company is actually as high as Smite's pillar here, but then it's worded very weirdly. It's just, I don't know. But I'm guessing this is what they meant by it. I tried to like decipher it a little bit. So Realm Royale earns this much in a single month, or used to earn this much in a single month. And keeping in mind here that in 2018, 2019, the numbers differed. Rogue Company earned more in its month than Realm earned at its peak, so it's like maybe like 1.5 times as much or whatever. So one black, one gray. So I'm assuming that's what they meant in the context of Rogue Company. And then Paladins earns as much per month as Realm did in 2018 in its entirety of the year, which would be this much, right? Like it would be 12 months. Again, assuming that I'm getting this right and that's how they meant it. And then Smite, that one is clear, earns as much in a month. They describe it the other way around, right? But it earns as much in a month as Realm Royale did in 2018 and 19 combined. And if this is what Realm earns in a month, so what they earn in 24 months would be this amount. So that would be what Smite's earning. And now we have to keep in mind that this kind of makes Paladins possibly look better than the situation is, because I imagine that Realm Royale probably made more money in 2019 than in 2018, because they had a lot more cosmetics at that point. I think they were a lot further with how they are going to monetize the game, whereas in the beginning they were mostly building up a fan base. So if we take that into account, then to visually compare Smite and Paladins, this is probably more fair, even though that kind of is a bit misleading for Realm then in comparison, but you get the idea. So it's roughly what it'll look like if I'm getting them right. Again, Rogue Company could look completely different, but I am guessing that it would make sense for Rogue Company to still be building up. I think they don't have much monetization going on just yet. And it makes sense that it's not doing much better than Realm just yet, because it's still better than Realm's best month already. And the game's still getting advertised and everything, so it's still in its baby steps. So this is what it should look like if I'm solving the riddle right. Again, we don't have absolute values here, so what we know here is that Realm was losing hundreds of thousands, but it was making revenue at the same time, so that was probably not like offset against each other here. This is just the expenses and the revenue was separate, and overall it was a net loss, which is how many games operate while they're trying to be built up. So, for example, I would imagine that Rogue Company probably still operates at a loss at this point because they're advertising so much as well, but that is something that will even itself out over time. So the money they're making from Smite is probably a lot more consistent compared to everything else here. I don't really know. Paladins is like going up and down a little bit, but I think the investments they're making into Paladins at this point are also comparatively low. But still, this could be like, in the realms of hundreds of thousands in revenue, millions probably. But then obviously having all the costs that reduces the overall net gain that you have from it. But either way, I thought this was very interesting in terms of just looking at the revenue, and then we also have the rest of the statement here for Realm Royale. In order to operate a Battle Royale game at an ongoing level in a good way, it requires a large team. We could just not make that work with Realm Royale. That said, we still see players enjoying the game, and we still see new people finding the game and having a good time. So we are not going to take the game away. We'll continue to run the servers for the game and do small things where we can to support its community. I'm sure there are alternate futures where Realm Royale could have been a breakout success, which it was at the start, to be honest, if we had done things differently, we have spent a lot of time contemplating that, trying to learn from our mistakes and working hard to avoid those mistakes on our future games. If there is anything that is true about the gaming industry, it is that it's an unforgiving industry where most projects fail while a few become enormous mega hits. That's very true, and I think it's very sad, actually. Like, looking at the gaming market, it's always been this thing, like, so many games have to die just for a few to survive. As a studio, one mistake I believe we made was becoming spread too thin across too many projects, leading us to dilute our talent and also not to treat our existing well-performing games in the best way, which was an issue with Smite for a while, obviously, and it's definitely improving now. The mantra at HiRez over the last year has been do less but obsess, meaning that we take on fewer side projects and new games in order to obsess about a few main goals. Right now, our 3 main goals are ensure Smite's best days are ahead of it, ensure Paladins' best days are ahead of it, and ensure Rogue Company comes to the market in a smart way that ensures its long-term sustainability. I'm not quite sure if they're completely honest with Paladins here. Obviously, they couldn't say it. It's just like ensure that Paladin stays alive. Maybe I have to look at that again, see what has changed there, but I don't know. My impression lately, especially with the competitive scene and everything, was like, I don't know if the best days are still ahead of it, but maybe I'm too out of that topic at the moment as well. We love making new games, and we'll certainly make new games in the future, but we want to do it in a way that sets up both the new projects and our existing projects for success. While we are blessed to be a decent-sized company with over 400 employees, we are still only able to do so much at once with maximum quality. While it's sad to have to do less with Realm, I think this strategy of concentrating our efforts on these 3 titles for the moment is the best thing for our community and for the company. Much love, and I will still see you in the Realm. So what I have to say here is that I think it's very sad, but also understandable. And it's kind of the same thing that we saw with other old HiRez titles, with, I want to say Tribe Ascent, but I think it's the other one actually. Which I forgot the name of, but anyways, they kind of just keep the servers alive for people to play it for, you know, if they are still interested in it, but then just don't really do anything beyond that anymore, which I guess is a way to handle things. I think it's still very sad that they never really tried to return to the roots of Realm. I think that it was a very clear indication for many people that they wanted the original Realm back, and they just kind of tried new things over and over and over to appeal to the remaining people, when I think just returning to the original would have, I don't know, overall created an environment to work with that more people would have been interested in. But that was their decision, that's what they went with, and unfortunately it didn't pay off here. But that's just, again, it's a gamble as well. And I know a lot of people are saying they should release like a retro version now and go back to the original. But I think if they did that now, you kind of, on one hand, they'd probably antagonize some of the people that enjoy the current state, that think that the game is actually better now. Because, I don't know, there's a lot of features that would basically be removed. There's a lot of balance that would be undone. And those who've played long would probably be able to abuse certain mechanics that are left over from that time, so to speak, or or left over from the new updates that other players that come into the game don't even know about. And I don't think the demand is as high as we think it is. Like, I'm one of the people who would love to see the original Realm come back, but I don't think that it would have like a major impact on the gaming scene outside of a few dedicated fans of the original. I don't think that there's so many, like, there would be so many new players that never touched the game to be like, yeah, now it's retro Realm, now I want to touch it because it's called retro. Like why would they even understand the difference between the current version and the first version when they've never played either? So yeah, I think it's gonna remain as it is, and it's gonna be somewhere lurking in the shadows. It's unfortunate, but that's just the cycle of games, and nothing we can really do. If the company knows that it's not profitable for them, then yeah, unless everyone starts like massively buying skins all of a sudden, nothing will change, and you need a player base to do that in the first place. So I guess the takeaway for us is that it's good that they are very much focusing on their main titles staying alive and looking towards keeping them as populated as possible, looking towards the future. And at least with Smite, it's definitely working at the moment, right? Like you have like God releases like Cthulhu. You have the mid-season patch was I think a success as well. And while those things not always end up balanced, they at least end up refreshing the game and bringing new players into the game and bringing old players back. And I think that's what really matters the most for most of us that are already like involved in the Smite scene or in the HiRez scene, so to speak. I'm curious what happens with Rogue Company, because I think it's actually shaping out better than I expected it to be, because I played a very early alpha version and it was oh yeah, I don't even think I can talk about that. Yeah, it was rough. But now it actually looks like the game is getting a fan base. It's getting people that are invested into it, and yeah, maybe, just maybe, something will come out of that. And other than that, they will still have Smite and they will still have Paladins, and if that's what they'll cling to until they find something else, that's fine too. As a Smite YouTuber, I cannot complain about that. But I wanted to talk about this topic. I thought this was interesting, and maybe you did too. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I might make another video later. I'll see if I get it done. Either way, if you're new to the channel, feel sub button and ring the bell so you get notified of any upcoming videos. DukeSloth out.